everyone. Welcome to EduTap and welcome to the success story session. So today we have with us Mr. Kushal who has cleared the IRDI Grade A examination and he has cleared the exam in his first attempt. And let me tell you that he has done the self preparation, he has done the self study. So without the help of any coaching institute, without the help of any coaching material, he was able to clear the examination in the first try in the first attempt. So today we will celebrate his journey of clearing this examination as well as we will understand from him his sources and strategy for clearing the examination. So first of all, heartiest congratulations to you Kushal for clearing the examination.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me for this session as well.
Thank you so much for coming. And so let's just jump into your educational background so that the students are able to know that what your educational background is and how you started the preparation for the government examinations. Okay.
So I've done my schooling from my hometown itself, which is in Uttar Pradesh. And after that, I've done my graduation in engineering, electronics and electrical engineering from AKTU Lucknow. And after that, for 1 year, I've worked at an education providing company as a learning consultant, where they dealt with artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics. So I came to know about these technologies as well. And I always had this passion for civil services. So after 1 year of my job, I started preparing wholeheartedly for civil services, and I cleared certain stages of that examination as well. But unfortunately, I couldn't get the final selection. So I thought that I should move to other sectors as well. I should explore other sectors where my ambition for getting into a managerial or administrative role could be fulfilled. So I felt that RBI and IRDAI, like regulatory bodies, would be a good option for me, good career option for me. So that is how I started preparing for these examinations.
Okay. So were you expecting that you will clear the IRDI such a prestigious organization it is? So were you expecting that you will clear it in the first attempt? And what was the reaction of yours and your family when you actually cleared it?
No, not at all. I was not expecting final selection because the number of vacancies were very low. And coming from general category, the vacancies were much lower than usual as well. So no, I was not expecting, but what I have learned in my years of preparation is you have to give your 100%, and let rest everything will happen on its own. Everything you cannot control. So that is what strategy I had, or what ideology I had with this examination as well. And after the results, everyone was happy, including me. And because they've seen how much struggle I've done, how many failures, setbacks I have faced, so they were very happy that finally uh, something positive has happened and some examination I'm able to clear. So
Correct. So, like you have a long journey of this government examinations and preparing for the examinations. So, did the external or the internal pressure came that okay, I have given two attempts, I have given three attempts, I have put my 3 4 years in this preparation, and then I'm shifting to RBI or IRDI, so I'm going to put more years in that. So, did that external or the internal pressure came, and how you dealt with that?
yeah, there were times where external and internal pressure both were there, but mostly we can control the inner struggles that are there, but external pressures could not be handled. So what I did was I focused on my karma, what I have to do, and ignored everything else. And luckily my family was very supportive. My mother, father, my sister, they were very supportive of me, and they always believed in me. So that gave me a push also, because many a times mostly self motivation has to be the key to face these hurdles and to keep going. But sometimes that inner motivation also suffers a setback. You start questioning yourself. So at that time, there has to be certain close friends or close relatives of yours who have to, like, tell you that you can do it. You should not divert from your goals, and this is a setback that everyone faces. So something like that. So that is what kept me going. And how I dealt it, I started like meditating also. There is a technique called Vipassana meditation. I started learning that from YouTube, and it helped me immensely. I was like, to be frank, I was not a believer of meditation beforehand. I felt that it is not necessary and all, but when I started doing it, it did wonders for me. It improved my mental health also. It improved my working ability also. It improved my efficiency also. So I think meditation also helped me a lot to face these hurdles.
Really nice. And I think it will like benefit many of the students that are going through the same pressure and the same problems, that okay, you will have to calm your mind and you will have to calm yourself if you want to continue the journey. Either leave the journey,
Definitely.
or if you want to continue the journey, you have to calm yourself down. Correct. So now like you had given attempts in UPSC, 4 attempts in UPSC, and in some of the attempts you were able to reach the mains. But when the mains result come, or when the result comes and you understand that okay, I am not able to clear it, I have not cleared it, so you have to restart the whole journey. So how did you, like, in the low phases, did you watch the videos of some people in the YouTube, or you were just meditating and focusing on yourself?
I think I did both of them.
Mm.
I watched some videos of like Ratan Tata were there, and certain other very famous personalities, very inspirational personalities like Sachin Tendulkar. He was also facing sledging a lot in his career. So how he dealt with that. So that is how I used YouTube for my perusal. Other than that, yes, meditation helped me a lot. I used to do meditation daily, and I used to follow a set routine also. I used to wake up early in the morning, and like before UPSC, I was not doing this time management. I was what should I say? I was not a very routine following person. So I could start my day at 8 a.m. also, 9 a.m. also, or 6 a.m. also. But after uh, some time in UPSC preparation, I started following a set routine where I have to start studying from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. Then I have to get up at 9 a.m. So I think that helped me also because my mind was ready for that preparation. Because whenever it was 7 a.m., I was ready to start studying. So I think that also helped me a lot, following a routine and like preparing my mind itself to study, especially in the hours there in which the exam would be conducted. For example, if the exam is from 9 to 11, I try not to sleep or eat during those hours. I try to study immensely in that time period. Even what I used to do is used to close my fan and light, and I used to read in immense heat and low light, so as to like prepare myself for the exam condition. So that is how.
Really nice. And we can say that you adopted the disciplined approach, and that actually helped during the examination. And this is a unique strategy that I have heard for the first time after taking so many of the interviews. That yes, you know that if the morning shift comes or if the evening shift comes, so you have to prepare yourself for the particular shifts that you might go for. So for that time period, you should
Actually,
be able to focus. Yes.
yeah, I want to add something because I have seen many people who are very talented and who have studied a lot, but during those 2 hours or 3 hours of exam, they are not able to perform well. So that
Mhm.
happened with me also in one of my mains exam. Like there are multiple mains exam in UPSC. So that happened with me also. So I realized that during those hours, all that matters is those 3 hours that you are giving the test. The examiner doesn't know about rest of the hours and what books you have read, how many books you have read. He only knows about those 3 hours and the copy that you are writing. So you have to be very active during those 3 hours.
Mhm. Correct, absolutely correct. Now, while preparing, did you leave your other hobbies other than meditation, and did you leave the social media and such and the outings, or were you continuing with the social media, your hobbies and the outings during your preparation journey?
I totally cut off myself from social media. I was not using any platform other than WhatsApp and Telegram for preparation purposes only. But hobbies, I did not leave. I am a person who try to follow hobbies, and like it used to give me a happy moment in my preparation because many a times you don't feel like studying. So taking a break and following your hobbies, like my hobbies are singing, sketching, meditation, playing sports. I mean, I have a lot of hobbies. So I used to do them whatever I can do in that limit little time. I used to roam around also, like traveling to new places, exploring new streets, exploring street food and all. So that used to give me a break from monotony also. And yeah, so that is how I mean, I used to give myself some time also. I
Hmm.
was not completely like focusing on examination. I used to give some personal time also to myself.
Okay. Now, if you can share some of your learnings from these 4 5 years of your preparation to the students that can help the aspirants to achieve whatever exam they are like preparing for or attempting for. So, any learnings you can share?
So yeah, there were many learnings. As I mentioned, the discipline that I
Hmm.
gained, that is one learning. That discipline is very important. You
Hmm.
cannot leave 2 or 3 days and then study 15 hours, 16 hours for the next 2 days. You have to follow 8 to 10 hours, whatever your strength is, whatever your efficiency is. You can follow that, but you have to be continuous in that preparation. So
Hmm.
that is one thing. Another thing is you have to persevere also. Like if there is a setback, because many a times we do not perform well in mock tests and we get disheartened and we do not study for 2 3 hours. That for 2 3 days actually. That happens with most of us. But you have to remind yourself why you are into this, what motivates you, and what are your goals. That your family also is expecting something out of you, so that is something that you have to remind yourself.
Hmm.
So that inner motivation is also very necessary during this preparation phase. Another thing I think is hard work doesn't like hard work is necessary. You can engage in these activities, you can engage in mock tests, you can enroll in any coaching center, but do not rely solely on these sectors. You have to do self preparation also. You have to go through the newspaper also. You have to use other sources like Google, YouTube for study purposes. You have to analyze what actually is the news, because nowadays in most of the examination the news is not, the questions are not direct. For
Hmm.
example, if there is a war between Ukraine and Russia, so why is it happening? What repercussion it could have on India? How it could impact the economy? So that is something that you have to do on your own. So that is
Hmm.
also something that I started learning, how to critically analyze, how to think in multidimensional ways, and that helps a lot in descriptive answers also.
Hmm.
In any examination, it may be IRDAI or RBI, everywhere descriptive answer writing is there. And what I feel is examiner checks that multidimensional thinking also, because nowadays everyone can memorize these books and just copy paste it using chat GPT also, but that critical thinking takes time, and that is what uh, differentiates you with other candidates. That is very necessary as well.
Correct. Okay. Thank you, Kushal for all these like learnings. And now, do you think that your UPSC preparation has helped you a lot in the IRDI Grade A examination, and how your UPSC preparation has actually helped, if it has?
Yeah, definitely it has helped me. It had a cascading effect on my IRDAI preparation,
Hmm.
because the economy part, finance part, I have prepared during my UPSC preparation as well. So that helped me. My economy notes, I followed them only for ESI part of the descriptive paper.
Hmm.
Other than that, in GA part also, like many of the questions, some of the questions were from polity and static economy and all, which I have read in my UPSC preparation. So definitely that knowledge helped me a lot.
Okay. So now I think we can move to the strategy part, and let's discuss the strategy for the phase one like phase one, then we will discuss the strategy for phase two, and then at last for the interview. So starting with phase one. So it has quant reasoning, English and GA, and it has sectional cutoff as well as overall cutoff. So let's start with quant reasoning and English. So how did you prepare for quant reasoning and English? Were you strong in that and you just gave mock test and be done with it, or did you prepare it holistically?
So I have been above average in these subjects. I have studied quant reasoning English from a very long time. And for UPSC also, there is a separate paper of CSAT where English comprehension, quant reasoning, everything comes. The pattern is slightly different, but the topics are the same. So I used to study them as well. I used to give mock tests for that, and I was fairly good in these subjects. But in IRDAI and other regulatory bodies examination, there is always a time crunch. So
Hmm.
for that time crunch, I had to prepare according to the pattern that the examination have. So in IRDAI, there are 90 minutes and 160 questions are there, 40 questions for each subject. So
Hmm.
there is a consolidated time of 90 minutes. So what I used to do is I attempt English at the first instance. You can jump on any of the subjects. So I used to complete English within 10 to 12 minutes or 30 minutes depending on the difficulty. And then I jump to GA part, general awareness, because that is also mostly one liner itself and the questions can be attempted with fairly quickly. So what my strategy was to finish these two parts, English and general awareness, within the first 30 minutes and devote the next 60 minutes solely to quant and reasoning. And that
Hmm.
also firstly reasoning, then quant.
Okay.
That is the strategy that I followed. And I was not having, that is also one thing that I would like to mention, that don't never keep any preconceived notions about the exam difficulty. Because sometimes there are many difficult questions at the starting, and we panic ourselves that the question is very tough, the paper is very tough. So never
Hmm.
keep that. If a particular puzzle is very difficult, or if a data interpretation question is very tough, then skip that question and attempt rest of the question. So that is something that like happened with me also. There was a very lengthy DI question in quant. So I left completely those five questions, but rest of the question I fairly attempted. And I remember I attempted somewhere around 135 questions out of 160, and I got 122 marks. So I focused on my accuracy,
Okay.
especially
Now,
in section. I focused on my accuracy. In GA part, I made certain guesswork, like some education guesswork. Like if I'm able to eliminate two, three option, I used to attempt that question.
hmm.
That is what I followed.
Okay. So in quant reasoning and English, you were giving the mock test and you were preparing for from the analysis part. So you were not going topic wise, or were you?
Complete paper, complete mock test I used to give, and that analyze that. In if some topic I am continuously doing mistakes, so I used to watch some YouTube lecture or some book I used to follow. I had Arun Sharma book I had for quant. So I used to selectively attempt questions of that. For example, the allegation part was a little tough for me. Like I was not well prepared in that, so I used to follow that from the book and see any shortcuts and all, so as to solve that question within 1 minute, and then attempt that mock test and make sure that I am able to attempt the questions from allegation.
Okay.
That is
How different the quant reasoning, or how, like, in the difficulty level, how different it is from RBI grade B, because you have given both the examination. So the quant reasoning of IRDI and the quant reasoning of RBI grade B. So how, like, different they are.
so definitely difference is there. IRDAI level was much lower than RBI grade B. RBI grade B, the questions were very lengthy also, and there is sectional timing also, which
Hmm.
is not present in IRDAI. So IRDAI, I think I have not given any other banking exam, so I cannot compare with other. But they were fairly easy compared to RBI grade B.
Okay. So now
They were
let's
comparable. I would say it was comparable to SSC CGL level.
okay. So now let's discuss about the general awareness part. So how many months of the general awareness did you cover, and how many times did you revise?
So general awareness I did for 6 months, 5 to 6 months, and insurance awareness I did for 1 year, last 1 year. There was a marathon session on YouTube. EduTap also conducted some sessions. I used to follow that. I used to follow finance current affairs from your session as well. So that is how I prepared for current affairs. And for like complete, there were sports news awards. Those I covered for 5 to 6 months.
Okay. And how many times of the revision did you do?
Vision, I think 3 to 4 times.
Okay. And like in the RBI grade B, there are the facts that you have to remember. Many facts in the schemes, reports, GA section, and so and so. So for IRDI also, do you have to focus on the facts or it is more analytical?
No, they were one-liners only. Mostly they were one-liners. Some questions were there where statements were there, and you have to eliminate some of the questions, some of the statements. But most of the questions were one-liner, and they were very short also compared to RBI Grade B. And the notes that I made for RBI Grade B for current affairs, they were very handy for IRDI as
Okay. So now let's move to the phase two because we have discussed the phase one in the holistic manner. And like you have seen the insurance awareness session, right? The long one. So if you can name the session for the students.
well. One YouTube channel, I think Affairs Mind, Affairs Cloud or Affairs Mind, there was a channel which conducted 8 to 10 hours YouTube marathon on insurance awareness. So they covered the static portion also and the current news also. So I made notes from that. It helped me in GA part also, like in the phase one, and in the insurance and management in phase two, paper three. So there also it helped.
Okay, so you saw the marathon sessions and the finance current affairs sessions of the EduTap, as well as you sufficed the insurance awareness session from that particular channel. Okay,
Yes,
okay.
because insurance part was new to me. I
Hmm.
was not aware of insurance part. So I firstly covered the static portion and then the current affairs I added it on. I used to make notes on pen via pen and paper and I used to add more details to it. For example, IRDA annual report, you took a session on that also. I used to watch that. So I added certain data points or some graphs that I can use for insurance penetration, insurance density, the comparison between India, world, or India's neighbor like China. So I used to draw those on my notes. And I remember there was a direct question around that also, and I made that graph in exam also.
Okay. So that means the sessions were at least helpful that you studied. Okay.
Definitely, they were very helpful and they were very precise also. Like the session that you conducted were mostly of half an hour or between 30 minutes to 1 hour. So that is something which is doable in the short term.
Okay. So now let's move to the phase two and let's start with the paper one in the phase two. That's your English descriptive answer writing. So how did you like, did you practice for that or were you confident that, okay, I have given a lot of like, I have prepared a lot for UPSC, so I will be able to do it?
No, I did not prepare separately for English paper. What I had was I made a sticky note of quotes that I could use for essays during my UPSC preparation because the topics that are there in UPSC are very philosophical. So the quotes are very good way to end or start your essay. So I used that in IRDI as well. And there was a topic of insurance for all by 2047, inclusive insurance. So I used the quote of Sarvodaya through Antyodaya, like prosperity of all through inclusion of all. I used that quote of Gandhiji in my essay while concluding and I use the same like introduction body conclusion format in essay also in which like you have to introduce the topic in 3 to 4 lines because the space was very limited in IRDI only I think 3 pages were given for the essay so I tried to cover as many dimensions I can, like what challenges could be there and what the government is already doing, how the IRDI annual report reflects what the current status of insurance sector is currently. That I remember that it is currently sixth largest. India is currently sixth largest insurance market in the world, and in 2032 it is expected to be no, it is currently 10th largest and it is expected to 6th largest in 2032. So I use that data point in my essay. So that these things are all that I used in essay writing and the English paper in general and no other preparation I did.
Okay. Now let's move to the ESI impacting insurance part. So in that, first of all, there are some static pointers. Like if we see the syllabus of ESI impacting insurance, it has business cycle, utility theory, and the application of it, the risk the capital risk, and such topics are there, the static topics, the actuary and the de-tariffing and such. So how did you cover the static concepts for your examination, as well as in the examination there were questions like CBDC and deposit crunch that were more current affairs based, I can say. So how did you manage your preparation, and how like it was there in the examination?
Yeah, so for ESI portion, I used my notes of economy. I used to read Vivek Singh economy book is there and Ramesh Singh economy during my UPSC preparation. So that helped me with the static portion like repo rate and functions of IRDI, functions of RBI and all. So that was something that I covered from there. Rest of it I covered from Vision IAS monthly magazine is there. So I use that for current affairs portion, and I used to read newspaper also. Before RBI exam, I used to read newspaper. After that, I did not have much time to read the newspaper. So in editorials also, many a times there are good points. Then I used to Google them, and I used to read from Business Standard or Investopedia and all. So multiple sources I use. I like read some of the summary sheets of EduTap also. So those also helped in some topics in which I could not get any material. So I used to follow some toppers notes also that are available in Telegram or on YouTube. So on also YouTube also I used many. There are many marathon sessions for economy also for finance also. So I use them as well for economic survey also.
Okay. And like the questions like CBDC and deposit crunch, how were you able to attempt them, or were they a shocker for you? Because usually the current affairs, such current affairs questions, they are not directly seen.
So I was prepared for these questions because they are pretty much in news and they are very important for the economy also. So I was prepared for them, and what I did was I remember that CBDC just these four letters were written, nothing like no analysis part or no follow-up question was there. So what I did was I tried to cover as much direction the dimensions as possible, like definition also, example also. And I remember that I mentioned that Nigeria has already launched a CBDC, China has already launched, so India is following its footsteps. So like that, I use examples also. Then I covered what challenges could be there and what steps the government could take, and I concluded the question with the way forward. So that is how I try to bring more dimensions and more angles to the question.
Okay. And now let's discuss about the insurance and management. That what was the strategy of yours for the insurance and management, and what were the sources for them?
So for management part, I read L.M. Prasad book. Selectively, I read that book, and there are certain summaries also available on Google and in Telegram. I use that selectively. Uh, rest management syllabus is very limited in IRDI as compared to RBI Grade B. So I directly focused on the words that are mentioned in the syllabus. Like if there's communication, then how many types of communication is there? How communication is important for an organization? So like that I covered. I made short notes also so that I can revise at the time of examination. For insurance part, I read from, as I told you, the IRDI annual report. I watched your session and I went through the complete the PDF also that was provided by the government. So that also I read. And in economic survey also there is a separate chapter on insurance sector. So I read that also. I gained certain way forwards what the government can be doing and certain data points that I can use in my answers. And the marathon session that I mentioned, the 8 to 10 hours one, that also helped me in insurance part because the static portion like Bima Trinity, Bima Vahak, Bima Manthan, so all these points were covered in that marathon session and other YouTube lectures. So I used to note them down and like add on certain points using Google, some example or some data point or some quote by like IRDI chairman sir. Uh, so that is how I prepared for it.
Okay. So, see, you have prepared for UPSC and you have done a lot of descriptive answer writing practice. So, can you tell the aspirants about a good structure of the answer, or how, like, what points, what dimensions they can focus on, what points they can add? So, a good structure of the descriptive answer, if you can explain.
So mostly I used to follow the IBC intro body conclusion format, but usually it works uh, well in other examination like UPSC. But in IRDI there was a space crunch. Like there were certain 5 markers also, there were certain 8 markers also, for which only half a page or 1 page is given. So there was very little space that was provided for the exam questions, some of the questions. So in those questions, I directly jumped to the demand of the question.
Mm.
I did not follow the IBC part in those questions. For example, if I cannot remember any question, but if something is there, like insurance penetration is there, so I directly jumped on the demand of the question, what the question is asking, and draw some graphs and all. And I used to follow the point-wise manner. I used to write my answers in points, as many points as I can, and I used to draw certain like uh, boxes also, not write in the paragraph or the monotonous way of writing. I used to draw certain boxes and some flow charts also, flow diagram also. So as to make it more interactive, does that. And
Okay.
other than this, in descriptive writing, uh, also I used to like as I've told you, I used to write codes also, but that has to be something that comes into your mind automatically. You cannot wait and you cannot write. It has to be it has to come automatically. So for that, I used to practice a lot. I did not enroll for any descriptive answer writing like program or anything. I used to self-analyze them, whether I have covered the dimension all the dimensions or not. I used ChatGPT and asked like firstly I used to write the answer, and then I asked the same question from ChatGPT, like what answer that ChatGPT is giving, any dimension that I may have left, or anything else that I could write. So I used to add that on my answer, and I used to attempt that answer again within the time frame. I used to keep a stopwatch, and I used to attempt these questions within a time frame, like 7 minutes for a 10 marker, like that.
Okay. So now, if we talk about, now we have covered the phase two part very well. Now let's move to the interview part. And first of all, like, did you give any mock interview? And did the mock interview help you in the final interview?
Yes, I enrolled for the interview guidance program in EduTap itself, and I took a mock interview. There were two panelists in that mock test, and the questions were very diverse, like from my background also, from insurance and also, and even my interview went very unprecedented also, because most of the people were saying that it is mostly from your DAF and mostly from your background, but my interview was very factual. It was mostly from the insurance sector. I don't know why. They even asked me about Bhopal gas tragedy, like what insurance related problem was there in 1984. So that was a bouncer question for me. And they even asked me about Manipur issue, what is going on, Ladakh issue that happened 4 years back. So it was very factual for me. Even how many insurance companies are there, name the companies, and then RBI governor, IRDAI chairman. So it was very factual. The oldest insurance company, what year it was there, when IRDAI was established. So it was factual, and I was able to answer many of them, but some of the questions I didn't knew, and I took some time in those questions. Like, can I take a moment to think? And they were very cordial. They were very supportive. Also, they said, "Yes, you may take your time." And within 1 or 2 minutes, if I am able to answer, they used to wait for me. Otherwise, they would have said that no problem, Kushal. Let's jump on to the next question. So the panel was very helpful and supportive in that manner. But I mean, what I expected from the interview, there were very limited questions from my background. So that is also a learning from me that I took later, that you don't have to. keep preconceived notion that the interview would go in this direction or that direction. You have to be ready for surprises.
Okay.
Even
And
one more thing I would like to add. There was a question like my hometown is Aligarh in Uttar Pradesh. So the chairman sir asked me what is famous about Aligarh. So I told him the Aligarh Muslim University is famous and it is also regarded as the law city. So he said, yes, Aligarh Muslim University is there. So he asked me who founded it, which year it was founded. So I answered him. So he said, yes, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan was against British. He went to Turkey. Uh, so I said that no, sir, he was pro-British. As far as I can remember, he was pro-British. He supported British so as to get certain advantages for the Muslim population. So he said that no, Kushal, you are wrong. He was against British. So I think he might be testing my patience and my calmness because Sarsyad Ahmed Khan was pro-British. So I frankly and I with a smile on my face, I answered him, sir, I would check later, but as far as I can remember, he was pro-British. So I think he might be testing me. So there could be certain times also where they would be testing your personality based on the answers that you give, based on the expressions that you give. So I hope I performed well in those situations.
okay, did you get the marks for the interview?
Not yet.
Okay. And were there any questions regarding the gap year? Because you had a few years where you prepared for UPSC. So were there any question regarding gap year or and regarding your hobbies, if there were any?
Yeah, so regarding gap years, he asked me, chairperson sir asked me that what were you doing all these years? So I honestly told him that I was preparing for civil services, and he asked me whether you are still preparing or not, and with how many attempts you have given, what stages did you go through. So I answered them honestly, and then only there was these questions that since you have prepared for UPSC, you must be knowing about Manipur issue, what is going on. And recently there has been an update on Manipur issue because the president rule was imposed on Manipur. So I answered him that. Then he moved on to Ladakh. Then he moved on to Russia-Ukraine war also. So he was expecting a lot from the current affairs portion because of my UPSC background.
Hmm.
But only one sir asked me about that, and other people asked me more about the insurance part. And regarding hobbies, I mean, I mentioned three hobbies, but only regarding my singing portion, one ma'am asked me which type of singing do you do, whether you have learned singing or not. I was hoping that she could ask me to sing a song also to check whether I'm lying or not, but she didn't ask me, and she said that good, your hobbies are good and all, and she passed on to next person.
Okay. So, this is like you have given a very detailed idea about the interview, and you have said a very good thing that you should not go with a preconceived notion, because if you go with that notion and then the things do not go as per your understanding, so you might get agitated and you might get confused in the interview itself. That should not be happening because they are checking your expressions, they are checking your body language also, in totality, your personality. So,
Even they the chair that we were sitting, the panel member that were there, they could see our whole body. So even if we are shivering or we are moving our hands, so they were able to see that. So that is also something that I made sure that I was not showing any anxiety or any panic in through my body.
hmm. Okay, so now we are towards the end of the session, and any message that you want to convey to the students that are preparing for any of the examination?
So message is quite simple that I used to tell myself also that always believe in yourself. You are way better than the failures that you are facing, and the ups and downs are part and parcel of life. If it is not about government preparation, any other sector also, ups and downs are there, failures you might face. But what you have to do is you have to keep your morale very high, and you have to remind yourself why you are into this. So, what motivates you? Why you want to do this? If money is your motivation, if prestige is your motivation, accordingly, you should strategize your actions also, and that is how you should go about it. and never underestimate yourself. I mean, I used to underestimate myself after failure, that I could not do it. Maybe I'm not made for this. Maybe I should leave it all together and jump to private sector or some business or anything. But then I used to remind myself that I have the personality, I have the critical mindset that is required, and I have that emotional uh, connect and emotional intelligence that I learned from UPSC also, that I have to do something for the society. I have to contribute to the betterment of society. So these are some things that I used to remind myself, and the candidate should also remind themselves, because the journey could be very painstaking at times. It could be distressing. There could be people around you that could who could be questioning you, and when they question you, you start questioning yourself as well. That might that he or she might be correct and you might be wrong. So in those times, you have to keep yourself together. You have to believe in yourself. And as Sri Krishna also has said in Bhagavad Gita, only the action that you have to do, that is with you. Karmanyavadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachan. So I used to write that on my table also, in front of my desk also. Right now also it is like pasted on my wall. So I used to remind myself that only I have to do my karma, and rest of everything has would be in the hands of universe and God. So that is how I continued with this preparation, and fortunately, with God's grace, I have cleared the examination.
Thank you so much, Kushal, for this wonderful message. And I hope many of the students will be able to learn from you. And I can see the experience, I can say, from you. Like the positivity is there, but the experience speaks. So the ups and downs that you have seen, I'm really grateful that you came to this session and you were able to tell your story to many of the students. And I hope they will learn from you. And thank you so much, Kushal, for coming.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.